Record. Hey, what's good people? This is your boy CJ Randolph, and this is the Just a Messenger podcast. Got a great guest today, but before I introduce him, I just want to let y'all know why we have these guests and what messages they are providing for us this next month. This February is Black History Month, and I definitely want to make sure that my way of kind of changing history is by promoting those that have changed history in their family, history with their friends, and things like that. And these are black fathers that are out here doing the thing with their family, being in their lives, and changing the narratives and the optics that some of us may have grown up and not being able to see, or that we've been told that black men are not in their children's lives. Now, the truth is, there are some that are. But the other side is, there are many that are definitely in their lives. And I want to promote that message, because that's not what we hear. So, without further ado, Mr. Messenger himself. I grew up in a very positive environment, a very message-filled environment. A lot of great books to read and listen to, and that's because my father, Mr. Randolph, Coach Randolph, whichever way you want to call him, was always promoting that for us, because he knew that he wanted to unlock levels of legacy that he hadn't seen, right? But he knew it was there. So, without further ado, Mr. Randolph.
Wow. Well, first of all, thanks for having me, son. I tell you, this is definitely a blessing, and appreciate you taking the time out to do what you are doing to impact the world, and appreciate you having me on as a guest. I was like, when you called me and said, hey, would you mind doing one? I thought, well, hey, of course, you're my son. I'm going to want to encourage and impact you in whatever I can, and whatever way I can. And so I said, sure, I'll do it. But let me just preface this, though. Okay, this is just my story. I'm not trying to change anybody's narratives out there, but I'm just going to say my story and how I grew up and what have you, right, and why me and your mom did some of the things we did or didn't do with you guys. Right. And so I just want to let everybody know out there, I'm not perfect. I wasn't a perfect father. I don't think I'm still not perfect. But I probably would have changed some things that I did do as you guys grew up. But I just want to let you know that. And I'm not here to bash my dad, because I think he may have came from the era of, it reminds me of that movie Fences, where the guy says, right, Pops, why you don't like me? Right. He's like, boy, why I got to be liking you? Right. You got a roof over your head. You got food in your belly. Who says I got to be liking you? Right. And right. I think my dad came in that era. The eras have changed, especially with all the social media stuff going on now. But I think he loved us, but he never showed it in certain ways, which we'll get into that. But correct. Let me just preface that by saying that, and good to be on here. But you said you just want to have a conversation?
Just a conversation. Okay,
you're saying this Black History Month is breaking some of the narratives or breaking some of the generational curses or what have you. I think one of the things that I know there's several, but I know there's some that I definitely want to break that even to this day kind of and like right. I said, I'm not here bashing my dad, but at the same time there's a lot of things he did that I wouldn't do. Right. And there's a lot of things I would change if I had to. Matter of fact, I had I was 12th grade. I had a child on the way. You know what I mean? Right.
What's that? So 12th grade, you're in England, right? So is that 16, 15, 18? What is that age?
16.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
16. So 16 years old. I find out that actually my ex-girlfriend was pregnant, and and then the baby, we had a beautiful little daughter. And at 16, 17 years old, man, what I know about life, right? But the one thing I did want
to make a baby.
Huh?
You know how to make a baby.
Anyway, so I went down to child services, and I said, look, I just had a little girl, what are my obligations or what have you? So I wanted to be responsible, right, even though I didn't know what the future held. Right. I at least wanted to be responsible because this is my child, right? And so we get a chance to get together, what have you. And then when she was about 2, her stepfather adopted her and basically wouldn't let me see her anymore. right?
Really?
Yeah.
Hold on. Mm-hmm. So I know a lot about that, but so they got married, obviously, because you said stepfather, correct? Mm-hmm. And so he wouldn't let you see her?
Right. He wouldn't let me see her. The story is,
okay,
he didn't want me to see her. I'm not sure about the mom, but thank God, and God bless my mom. She was just a saint. When she was about 11 years old, my mom negotiated where we can reconnect. Because first of all, of course, I wanted to be in her life. But second of all, you were 2 at the time.
Right.
I wanted to make sure that you guys, well, Aaron and Christian wasn't here at the time, but
right.
I wanted y'all to create your own relationship as well, create your own connection.
Okay.
But so we reconnected about when she was about 11, and we've been in touch ever since. However, she's doing great things. She's got her own magazine. She's out there helping kids in the universities.
Right.
She's helping businesses and so forth, so on. She's doing a lot of tremendous things. She got 2 daughters, and they're doing great things. And I'm just so proud of her and happy for what she's doing. Right. And so I'm excited for what she's doing. But that's just part of the story, right?
Right. Big ups to sis all across the pond. Hollyberry look-alike. Man, she came over to from England one time and went to my school, and I was like, I'm about to beat up everybody.
Wow.
Because if they say one more thing about my sister, I'm about to blot out your eyes. Right.
So, yes, sir.
Yeah. So with that experience, and with the result that is not one that you want, was that how you maybe broke some curses that environment provided for you to move forward? Like what from that experience did you learn that changed?
Well, first of all, not to have children out of wedlock for one thing. Right. At least I tried to after that. But once I met your mom and kind of settled down, and when I met her side of the family, I had always had this vision of having a great family and loving kids and so forth, so on.
Right.
And once I met your mom's side of the family, that image I had in my mind, I was like, this is definitely possible, because I'm telling you, they were the most loving, caring family I've ever met in my life. Right. And I just knew in my mind, well, this actually is possible. Right. Because I always used to say, you can't see what you can't be. Right. Or you can't be what you can't see, really. Right. You can take that in different ways. But what I'm saying is, in my mind, I had this picture of how I wanted a family. And when I met your mom's side of the family, I could see that picture could be a reality.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's an interesting perspective, because I've heard that before, and I was like, I don't know if I actually believe that, because you see examples of people like, oh, my father wasn't there, and they're great fathers, right? But that perspective of you, even though this wasn't here, this is what I envisioned in my head, that the possibility of what I want, because this is not what I want.
Right. Well, because here's the thing, CJ. I think, and I'm speaking broadly here now. Right. I think everybody wants to be a good person. Everybody wants to have a nice family. Everybody wants to do right. Right. So you may have a vision in your mind of what you think that should be. Right. And so, the mind is the man and the imagination is just a precursor of what's coming in the future. Right. And so if you continue to keep something in your mind, and through letters and notes and things like that, and reading, like you said earlier, reading books, you can manifest that. And so I knew what I wanted, and once I met your mom's side of the family, I knew it was possible. So I was able to see what I could be. Right. And so when I said, like, you can't be what you can't see, when me and your mom got together, we decided, okay, once we start having kids, this is the environment we're going to raise them in, which I know you guys back in the day probably didn't like that. Didn't like some of the things.
Yeah. We used to have to ask to go into the backyard. We had a fenced backyard, y'all.
No, you didn't.
Yes. Yes.
Well, we want to make sure you want to keep. I don't remember that, but I'm not going to deny that.
So, and Mary and Mom, seeing the family that you've envisioned, I know that I'm intrigued at how y'all's coming together and saying or saying this environment is going to be like this. What generational curses were broken in that conversation and lived out?
Right. Oh yeah, that's an easy question. First of all, let me just say, how can I say this? The Bible, or I read where it said, if you spare the rod, you spoil the child.
Right.
But let me just say, my dad, not also did he spare the rod, and to spoil the child. He also didn't spare the belt, the leather belt, the GI belt, or even the switch. Now a lot of younger generation probably don't even know what that is. But that's taking a branch off the tree.
Right.
And sometimes you had to go pick it yourself. So you'd have to say, okay, I don't want to get a thick one, and I don't want to get too thin of one. So you had to kind of get one in the middle. But anyway.
Oh, so you remember you used to do that with us with a belt.
Well,
you used to give us the option of what belt he was going to whip us with.
Well, but the key is y'all didn't get many of them, so it ain't like you got a whole bunch of them. You didn't get.
We learned our lesson.
But here's one of our rules in our house was, first of all, is if you go and ask your mom a question for something, let's say ice cream or whatever,
right,
and then she said no, then you came and asked me, that was an automatic spanking, automatic discipline, right?
Right.
Or vice versa. And the reason is that, CJ, is because I didn't want you to bid. Now, I don't mind if you try to figure out which one you want to go to first, right? That's okay, to figure out which one you want to ask to see if you can get it done. But I just didn't want you to buck me against mommy, because when you turn 18 and you're gone, it's me and mommy left, right? But on the second half of that, though, and I think it's a disservice to a lot of kids out there, me personally.
Yeah.
Let's say you did that, and you know what to get away with mommy. I can get away with mommy on this versus daddy, vice versa. I ask dad, he says no, and I go ask mom, she says yes. Well, now you just got strife between us. That's what, first of all.
Right.
But on the second part of that is, let's just say you're 13 years old, you want to go take the car. I'm at work or something, right? Mm-hmm. You're used to getting what you want from mom, and I'm not saying mom, I'm just saying either parent.
Right.
And so you take the car and have a wreck. To me, I think that's on us, not on you. Why? Because we set you up a pattern for you to be able to get away with what you wanted to, and then when you did something that you're not supposed to, why should I get on you now?
Right.
Ooh. And that was one of our rules, right? One of our other rules was we didn't have no cable. Not that I couldn't afford cable.
Right.
But remember,
idiot box.
Well, here's the key.
Referred.
You got three young men in the house, and you got HBO, access to HBO. Now, I can't control what you guys do when you left the house. But as long as you was in our environment, we wanted to create an environment of peace, of love, happiness, safety.
Right.
Right? We wanted to create that environment. So when you're at least in our environment, these are the things you had to abide to. Now, I don't remember the backyard piece, but anyway, I know you had to be in before the light went off.
Yes.
Before the light came on, sorry. But anyway, so we wanted to create that environment that at least when you were in our midst, these are the things that the rules and regulations and so forth and so on for that house. Kind of same thing like a church. Like every time we went to church, I wasn't the one to kind of push church on you and religion and what have you. What I did and what mommy and I did was we said, okay, 2 questions at the end of every sermon, right? You remember those? Mm-hmm. Okay, what was the sermon about and what did you get out of the sermon, right?
Right.
So if nothing else, I wanted to find out. And the reason is I want to make sure you listen to the pastor. And second of all, what did you get out of it for yourself? So I wanted to put you in an environment, the church environment.
Right. And I'll tell you what I got out of it. I learned how to pay attention for about 1 to 2 minutes so I can answer both of those questions in one swing. Yeah.
Wow.
Which has given me a lot of great insight on how to handle teacher PDs. Mm-hmm. Pay attention for about 1-2 minutes, raise your hand, ask a question, very thoughtful question. Oh man, I didn't even think about it that way. And then CJ out.
Okay, all right. Hey, you did what you had to do, but hey, those questions was coming.
Right.
And so, great question, man. Great question, though.
With church, at the end of the day, truthfully, since we went to church once a week, I did get 4 points a month. And you get that, it multiplies to actually really do learning some stuff. But
there you go.
You know, kids, these darn kids, right?
And then one of the other things I want to add onto that piece of is family, environment, and churches. We also want to make sure that you were around good folk.
Right.
So that's why we made sure we met your friends' parents, right? And from all, even with Aaron and Christian and you know, most of all the parents, were good folk. Right. And of course, all the people that we hung around I wanted to make sure that you had access to good people as well. That's why we're still friends with a lot of those people you grew up with to this day.
Correct. And I'm friends with their kids.
Right, and you're friends with their kids. And so that was kind of all by design as well. Yeah. You know, I wanted to make sure, and Mommy wanted to make sure that we put you around a great community of people that even if you needed to ask some of those people right now, you could go to them.
Right. Yeah. And that's important. You know, community is extremely important thing because, especially a diverse community, where you have a doctor, you have a teacher, you have a nurse, and you have this, and you see maybe an artist or someone that plays football, or you just have different options of seeing a lens and an optic that if you choose to go down that path, you have someone that you trust and relationship that they can give you some insight and maybe that you can repeat the wisdom that they had and maybe save you some time. Right.
Yeah, matter of fact, we still have friends that we've known, since the 60s, so I've kept in touch with a lot of people, even growing up in high school and middle school and what have you, still in friends with them right now. But you were saying breaking generational curses. One of the things, and God rest it, so I grew up not hearing I love you. Not having hugs.
Right.
I may have had a couple here and there, I think. I've been trying to recall those, but I definitely can't remember ever being told I love you. Till one time I sat down with my dad and I asked him, I said, like, Dad, look, I'll be 40 this year, and I've never heard you say I love you. I don't ever remember that. And he had this kind of funny look on his face, and then he came over and gave me a hug and told me he loved me. Gave me a real good hug. Told me he loved me. It was actually like a day or so after my mom had passed away. We was having certain conversations.
Oh, everybody in there, Carl Thomas.
I'm emotional. Well, the thing was, breaking curses, and hopefully I've done a good job. I'm not a big on hugging.
Yes.
Y'all know that. Anybody that knows me know I'm not a big hugger.
Correct.
Not to you, not to outside people or what have you.
Yeah.
To you boys I am, and of course your mom or whatever. But I never really got that, and I don't know if this stemmed from that. But to be almost 40 years old and never heard the words that I love you from your dad.
Right.
I think, I wanted to make sure I broke that curse for sure.
Right.
Right. So I love you and your brothers, what have you.
Right.
And I try to tell you that, maybe not all the time, but I try to tell you. But more so than to tell you, I also try to show you.
Right.
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 I mean, if I can be there for you, I'll be there. You know that, and I think your brothers know that as well. But so that was one of the ones of, not being able to be hugged, not being able to say. Being said to, I loved you, or being encouraged. I don't remember my dad really encouraging me and encouraging me. I played football, I ran track,
right.
And things like that. So I made sure that I imposed that on you guys, or imported that into you guys while y'all were growing up.
So do you know why he maybe had never told you that, or gave you a hug or anything like that?
Like I say, and I can't think for anybody else, and I can only surmise that maybe, working 2 or 3 jobs. And there was 8 of us, by the way, 8 hard-headed boys.
Yes, very hard-headed.
So, he probably thought more about getting food on the table and keeping a roof over our head than emotionally telling us he loved us and hugging us and all that. We did used to play with him here and there and stuff, but I don't remember a whole lot of that. But I do, I know I can speak from just some of our conversations that he wanted to make sure he provided food and a roof over our head. And so I think all that other stuff, he may not have, a matter of fact, come to think of it, he had told me he don't remember his mom hugging him or telling him she loved him at that same time. So, so that,
that's a huge,
right,
huge thing, especially supposedly from the nurture of the family. And I think that generational idea of men was, I show you love by being able to provide you your needs.
Right. So
in a physical sense.
Right. And then the other thing that, and to this day, I will never do to you guys was listening to you. Right. I mean, the situation. Let's just say back in those days, they said community raises a child. Right. So if the next door neighbor said, I broke a glass, and I said, well, no, I didn't. Well, that's two punishments there. First of all, one, I broke the glass, so now it's going to cost some money to get that fixed. And the second one is, if I said, no, I didn't, now I'm calling a grown-up a liar. Right? And so that's the one thing I said I would never do to you guys. So that's why I asked you your side of the story first. Right? And like I said, it could be generational as well. But that is kind of like, kids be seen but don't be heard. Right?
Yes.
Type thing. And I think that really irritated me as far as me not doing that to you guys and giving you an opportunity to listen, to give me an opportunity to say your side of the story first. Right?
Yeah, and I think the thing is, you said about the being seen and not heard, but even hearing is on a lower level than listening, right? Listening, you have a lot more cognitive aspects of the brain firing off and synapses and blah, blah, blah. And I think that's where transparency, that's where intimacy is at, actually. That's where intimacy is at, being able to see somebody, being able to feel, you have that empathy also of like, all right, I see what you did here, but it was still wrong, right? Let's see, something I tell my children stuff often, but I hope that they are listening to what I'm saying too, because it is, once again, we go kind of connect to that, putting parents against each other and you accepting the one parent and then you go off and crash the car, and that's breaking laws and stuff like that. Accountability, right? As a parent, we need to have that accountability measured, not for our own sake, but for their sake, so that they learn rules, regulations, things, and boundaries that protect them to be able to survive and be successful in life.
Exactly. Right. And good points. Yeah. Excellent. And, of course, you're a teacher, and then I'm just excited the way, and I'm so happy for the way you've blended your family right now.
Right.
And using those aspects of it is hopefully some of the things that me and your mom imparted on you is helping you now with your blended family, and that's a whole subject in itself.
Yes, yes.
But I'm just excited the way you guys, you and Miss Rosalinda, treat your family is awesome, man.
Yeah, and that was by design too, right? Like you said, you and mom got together and talked about, you listened to each other and talked about how are we going to design this.
Right.
This is the environment we want to provide. Now, not just this is what we want to do, how do we do it? And there's definitely balance, and there's a whole bunch of trial and error and stuff like that, and more conversation. But that you and mom definitely have helped me in that journey in figuring out how to do this beautiful blended thing that we have.
Right. And to be honest with you, it wasn't really easy at first because we come from two separate backgrounds, Totally separate backgrounds. So mommy didn't see some things the way I saw it.
Right.
But then, and I didn't see some of the things she saw, but we have a great way of compromising. Sometimes we actually write stuff down. I don't know, this could be something for somebody. We'll write pros and cons. We'll write each one's opinion.
Right.
Whichever ones are the same, we scratch out. Then we look at the other ones, and then there's been a couple of times I go, you know what? I never looked at it that way. Matter of fact, let me tell you a quick story. We were coming to Houston from San Antonio.
Yeah.
And mommy had just called her mom or something. Well, back then we didn't have cell phones.
Right.
We had she had just called her mom right before we were leaving. So I'm thinking, what are you calling your mom for as we're driving? Because I'm kind of a little upset. And she says, I just want to let her know where I am, And I'm thinking, you're married now. We're grown,
Yeah, I'm the man. I know where you at.
We were leaving. I was filling up the car, and I was coming out the gas station and hit my gas tank and put a hole in my gas tank. Well, they didn't know where we were. Well, they did because.
Right.
but it taught me that lesson that time, right? And so her brother came and got her, and I had to get the gas tank fixed and drove back like the next day or so. But I came from where, you know, I didn't have to tell my mom and dad I'm coming to Houston or what have you, right? And so I learned my lesson there. So it's things like that we had to kind of, you know, compromise and understand.
Yeah.
So we've, over the years, 40 plus years now, we've been able to compromise. So,
right.
But
there's a pastor that's something that stuck with me, of like the beautiful elements of difference, and especially in a marriage or a part of, you know, a relationship with someone that you get to be transparent with, and there's trust and intimacy. Of the beautiful thing, why God designed men and women differently, that's what I believe, is that you can come to a problem and have more information, or you can come to a problem with your information, that she can come to a problem with her information, and it could be different, but guess what? That's beautiful, because now you have more information to that problem.
Exactly.
The problem that we have is thinking that we're always right with it.
Right.
No, the beautiful thing is, I didn't see that perspective. I didn't see that perspective too. Now we have more information of the problem. Now we have a better solution, hopefully, if you can work together, which you should, to figuring out that problem.
Right. And actually, as I was saying, it was kind of hard at first because, of course, I'm the man, and you know, I want it my way or what have you. But your mom, she's so sweet and quiet. But a lot of people think she doesn't get on me. Hey, trust me. She never do it in front of somebody. But when I get in the car and she says, "Hey, I need to talk to you,"
those words.
Oh shoot!
I'm gonna get back out of the car.
and I'm like, oh man.
What is it?
Okay, remember, and you know, and she's like, well, look, we used to sit down and have conversations. She say, well, you know, okay, we're gonna work on this and work on that. And then when you say something, you want to see evidence of change. If you say, well, I'm gonna work on this, then you want to see evidence of change, right? Mm-hmm. But me, I'd be like, well, last February when you know. Last February when you said that, but anyway, so yeah. But we were able to manage it and blend it and make it to where it was a mutual conversation. Right. You know, a lot of times, like I said, there were several times I had to just say, you know what, I never actually saw it that way, right? And so you know, but you know, this has been absolutely great. I've been enjoying it, and I'd be remiss, and you know, I would. There'd be no way I could get off this conversation without giving your mom some kudos. No question about it.
You're right. You
know, and so with her nurturing and her love and so forth, so on, that she gave you guys, plus my side of it, there's just no way possible I could be sitting here right now with you without her. No You're question right. about it, man. I mean,
you're right, because you may know him as Mr. Randolph, but he was known as Cassie back in the day.
No, we ain't covering that part of it.
We're not going to cover it because it never happened, because Mama was like, I ain't having this.
You know,
I'm not having this.
We ain't covering that. Listen. But I would, you know, the thing is, CJ, you said, okay, what is this all about? We want to break those curses, right?
Right.
Look, can I end it in a kind of a story?
Yeah, so okay. Let's go ahead and kind of wrap it up with this moment's message. Right, so exactly. Let's go ahead and have this moment's message.
Okay, great. There was this king, right? And he was having a pool party. I'm gonna shorten it up real quick, okay. But he basically said, "I want to get everybody from the neighborhood, the poor folks, and I fill the pool with alligators, snakes, and reptiles and everything. Right. Anyone that jumps into this pool and swims across the other side, I give you your weight in gold. In other words, if you weigh 150 pounds, I'm gonna give you 150 pounds worth of gold." And all of a sudden, splash! This guy's going across the pool and he's swimming, and these alligators are after him, these snakes after him. He's just think about it. He's, oh my God, he's just swimming and swimming and swimming, and right. He's just swimming, and he gets up on the other side. King was like, man, first of all, you jumped in the pool. And the guy said, look, I don't want no gold. I just want to know who pushed me in that pool. You know. And the moral of the story, though, CJ, is, sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes it's not, it's not where you came from. It's not what your mom and dad done to you. It's not, whether you was in a poor neighborhood, the suburbs, or you lived on the top of the mansion, right?
Right.
It's still up to you to change that narrative.
Right.
It's still up to you to create the environment you want to create for you and your children and your wife. It's still up to you to be around the right people that you want to be around. So that's the message I think today, CJ, is it's still up to you.
It's still up to you. Great message. Great message. So, we here at the Just a Messenger podcast, we just want to spread the message of love, of hope, of joy, and of peace, and just change the world one message at a time. And with that being said, till next time, Selah.